Hey, chicken pickers, what's up? It's Vinny for PowerTwang.com. So today's lesson is a lesson in chicken picking. So the essence of the lesson, obviously you'll learn the riffs and the licks within this lesson, but also more importantly, you get an opportunity to work on the hybrid picking because you'll be utilizing your middle finger on the right hand to pluck some of the notes as well as work with your pick. But also you're going to work on your timing because basically the concept behind this is you're actually working on a repeating motif or riff in the style of Brad Paisley, and then you're going to throw in a series of licks while attempting to get back and play that main riff within time. So of course, working with the drum track or the metronome is important in this. I will make the drum track and the tabs, as well as the patch that I'm using for my Avid 11 rack, available at my website. You can get it from the link down there in the description box. Anyway, moving on with today's lesson. So again, this repeating riff. Essentially, we're going to be working on the key A today, and basically, the riff itself, again, is in the style of Brad Paisley. I will say, for all intents and purposes, though, while that is a riff that I chose to work with today, on this same drum beat, you can actually work on doing the same concept using any number of famous riffs, so to say, or rhythm parts. You could actually use the Brent Mason hot wire kind of riff there, and then throw in your licks, or you can use the infamous working man blues type pattern, and then throw in your lick. But again, I'm choosing to use the more Brad Paisley style for today. Okay, so basically what we're going to do here is we'll start with the riff first. And basically all that is it's pretty simple. And really what we're doing here for the riff is your pick will take care of the droning note on the A string. And your middle finger on your right hand will take care of the plucked notes on the D and G strings. So what you're going to do is you're going to start out with an open A, and then you're going to pull off on the 7th fret of the D string to the open D. And then you're going to hit an open A and then do the same thing at the 5th fret on the D string. Okay, so then you do the same thing where you're you hit the open A, then you pull off on the 7th fret of the G string to the open G. Hit an open A, pull off from the 5th fret of the G string to the open G. One more open A, and then you kind of finish it off with the A note here at the 7th fret of the D string. And that riff pretty much repeats itself, and you could probably spend quite a bit of time just with that drum track, just repeating that riff. So again, that's basically the repeating riff there. I'll do it for you another time here slow. Okay, so then basically moving on to the first lick, what we're going to do here is you're going to bend up 7th fret of the G string. Next is the 5th fret of the B string and 5th fret of the E string. And then you're going to pull off on the 8th fret of the B string to the 5th fret, downstroke the 7th fret of the G string, and then I usually pluck with my middle finger this 5th fret of the B string. Then you're going to do this walk down on the G string from the 8th to the 7th to the 5th fret. Downstroke the 7th fret of the D string. Then you're going to double stop. You double stop at the 7th fret. And when I say double stop, you're actually like basically picking 2 notes at the same time. Now we'll actually use my my ring and middle fingers to pluck those. Then I downstroke the 7th fret of the D string, and then another double stop here at the 5th fret on the G and B strings. So if we do that lick number 1 slow all the way through, you got okay, so then again, it would actually go back into that repeating riff, the main riff again. And you just continue that for, say, 4 bars. And then what you're going to do for the next lick, lick number 2, is, and again, this is a very Paisley-esque lick, where you're pulling off to the open strings. He actually did a lick similar to this in the Nervous Breakdown, I believe it was. But basically what you're going to do is you're going to take that and you're going to move it up here to the 5th fret. Okay, so basically what you're going to do is you're going to pull off on the 5th fret of the E string to the open E. And I usually pluck that one with my middle finger. Downstroke with a pick at the 8th fret of the B string, and then pluck that open E string again. And then all I do is I kind of move that pattern down again. Same right hand pattern. Just change up the left hand pattern just a little bit. So really what you're doing is you're pulling off from the B string at the 5th fret to the open B string. Downstroking the 7th fret of the G string. And picking the open B string. And all you do for the next part is just shift it down a set of strings. So again, you go down to the, you're working on the G and D strings, and you're going to pull off the 5th fret of the G string to the open G, downstroke the 7th fret of the D string, hit the open G note, and for the last part, all you do is you just move down a set of strings, you pull off the 5th fret of the D string to the open D note, and downstroke the E here at the 7th fret of the A string. So if we do that whole lick slow, it's like goes something like this. One more time. Okay, and again, so go back into the main riff for a few bars. Okay, so moving on to the lick number 3. Basically, this is a fun little hammer-on lick from the open strings. And, you know, if you were to add a little distortion to your sound, this would be a total 80s hairband lick all the way. But in the context of what we're doing today, it works just fine. But basically all you're going to do, open E string, and you hit that with your pick, and then you're going to hammer on at the 3rd fret and the 5th fret. Then you're going to move to the A string and and do the same thing. Open, hammer on to the 3rd and 5th fret. Then all you do is you shift your hand up to the 5th position, and you do the same thing where it's open, and then you hammer on to the 5th and 7th fret. So far you've got. Then you go to the D string and do the same thing where you're going to hit the open D, hammer on to the 5th and 7th fret, shift down to the G string, do the same thing, open G, hammer on to the 7th or the 5th and 7th fret, and then you shift up, and then you're going to do another open G, hammer on from the 7th to the 9th fret, and then finish it off with a open B, and then you hammer on to the 8th and 10th fret, and you kind of wiggle that last note to give it a little bit of vibrato. So if I do that all together slowly, here's what we got. And I think pretty much for that one, I'm doing all down strokes for each one of those. One more time. Okay, so then you go back into the main riff again. And do that 4 times through, and then to finish it off, what we're going to do here, basically lick number 4 goes like this. Basically, all you're going to do here is you're going to pull off. We're going to start on the B string, pull off from the 8th fret to the 5th fret to the open string. And then you're going to end on this 7th fret of the G string. You're going to hold that for a second. Then you're going to pull off on the G string from the 7th to the 5th to the open. And then come down here and land on the 7th fret of the D string and hold that for a second. Then you finish it off with just all you're doing for there is you're pulling off, starting on the G string, pulling off from the 7th to the 5th to the open string. Move down to the D string, do the same thing, 7-5 open. Move down to the A string and do the same thing, 7-5 open. But then you come up here and you just kind of grab this the C note here at the 3rd fret, give it a little quarter step bend, pull off to the open A, and then I usually finish it off with a little A chord there. So if we put all that together, you got. Okay, that's pretty much it. So just remember, like for this little exercise today, again, you can use a different rhythm pattern. You don't have to use this riff. You can actually use something else. And the same thing goes for the licks. If you have licks that you're already familiar with in the key of A, try using those and throwing those in there and seeing if they'll work with them. It's really up to you to kind of mess around with it. The licks themselves aren't necessarily as important as the concepts of working with the right hand and the hybrid picking and working with your timing. The licks are just, they could be any lick. Anyway, again, I'm Vinny. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.